Hello friends, let's discuss current affairs. This is the second session for this week and here's the first question. Oh boy. Who among the following persons has won the BBC British Broadcasting Corporation's Indian Sports Woman of the Year award for 2020? Well, this is Koneru Humpy, the chess wizard, former world chess champion. Now she is considered one of India's greatest chess players. Now, she won this award, that is Indian Sportswoman of the Year award, given out by the BBC. Now this is based on popular perception, votes and all that. Plus there is a jury as well. Now importantly, I would want you to know something more. That 2000, this is for 2020. In 2019, it was won by PV Sindhu. PV Sindhu. That was the inaugural, award, ISWATI 2019. Now Manu Bhaker, these five were all nominees. They were the nominees, and among these, people had to choose one, and Koneru Humpy won the title. Manu Bhaker, shooter. She's a shooter. She won the emerging sportsperson, emerging. You could write this: emerging player of the year. Emerging player of the year. Emerging player of the year. Okay. Now, apart from this, there was also one more prize that was given out. Three were there. One is the sportswoman of the year award. Second is the emerging player, that went to Manu Bhaker, the shooter. And the third was the lifetime achievement award. Lifetime achievement award. The lifetime achievement award went to Anju Bobby George. Anju Bobby George. The long jumper, former world champion. So Anju Bobby George won the Lifetime Achievement Award here. What about these? This is Diti Chand is a sprinter, athlete, sprinter. Vinesh Phogat is a wrestler, sprinter, wrestler. Rani Rampal is the captain of the Indian women's hockey team. So that's about it, guys. Okay. To repeat, Manu Bhaker won the Emerging Player of the Year award. Lifetime Achievement Award went to Anju Bobby George, while the Sports Person of the Year award went to Koneru Humpy, the chess player. Which of the following nations has recently introduced the world's first virus passport program? This is called public imagination, the imagination of a lot of governments. If you are to travel, you need to have vaccine passport. Some would say vaccine passport, some would say virus passport. That is, you would need to certify that someone, you are not COVID positive to be able to, or you have had vaccine. You have had vaccine, that's vaccine passport. You would have had vaccine of the COVID thing, so you could travel between places. China launched this world's first virus passport program. And as you know, China is the world's second largest economy by GDP. World's second largest economy by gross domestic product. Its GDP is likely to be $15.2 trillion. This is IMF estimate for 2020. IMF estimate for 2020. Okay. So this is just an estimate. Please remember that this is only an estimate, my friends, nothing more than that. So we have this, and then we have something more about China. Well, China is the third largest country in the world by area. It's the most populous, but world's third biggest by area. Its area is about 96 lakh square kilometers. This does not include any disputed territory with India or Taiwan and all that stuff. Okay, that's it. And we would write the name of the Prime Minister as well, because the President's name is known to everyone. The Prime Minister is Li Keqiang. Li Keqiang. Okay. That's a little about China, something that we normally don't really go about learning. The world's second largest economy by GDP, world's third largest country by area, and the Prime Minister is Li Keqiang. Fair. So South Korea, well, South Korea is a tiny country, hardly about 1.1 lakh square kilometers, between 1 and 1.01 lakh square kilometers. And this country's capital is Seoul, that's how you pronounce it. The E is silent, Seoul. The president is Moon Jae-in. Okay, and the currency, ladies and gentlemen, is won. It is won. Its boundary with North Korea, okay, is called the 38th parallel. It no longer is, and parallel is a latitude, okay. 38 degrees north latitude. It was once considered the boundary line between North and South Korea, but nowadays it is not considered this way. So 38 parallel is the old name, and the boundary line between North and South Koreas, two Koreas, is officially called the DMZ, the demilitarized zone. Let me write this in cap, full demilitarized zone. While it says demilitarized zone, there is on the Korean side, North Korean side, there is estimated to be about 7 lakh soldiers manning this particular boundary line. So totally together it would be about 8 lakh soldiers on both sides of the border that man the boundary between the two countries. So that's, I think, fairly good stuff about this. Next. Which of the following our nation's armies joined India in a joint military exercise named Exercise Duslik the second? Well, the answers found there, is Uzbekistan. This is a country. These are Central Asian countries. They were all once part of the Soviet Union. As you know, the Soviet Union, otherwise called the USSR, Union of Soviet Socialist Republics, existed between 1922 and 1991. In 1991, the country broke up, disintegrated. At the time of its disintegration, there were 15 provinces, 15 states. Now these 15 provinces became 15 independent countries. You could see, some of them here. I'll put them numbers here: 1 Turkmenistan, 2 Uzbekistan, 3 Tajikistan, 4 Kyrgyzstan, 5 Kazakhstan, 6 Russia. On the other side of this Caspian Sea, you will find countries like, you see this, you will find 7 Azerbaijan, 8 Armenia, 9 Georgia, 10 Ukraine, 11 Belarus, 12 Moldova, 13 Estonia, 14 Latvia, and 15 Lithuania. So these 15 states became 15 independent countries in 91. Now, you see the names here: Kazakh, Uzbek, Turk, Kyrgyz, Tajik. These are names of ethnic tribes, ethnic groups. An ethnic group is a group of people who have more or less a common culture, a common way of life, and to the extent possible, they have more or less, everything common, more or less. I said not everything is common, but a way of life that's common. So the land of the Kazakhs, Stan means land of the Kazakhs is Kazakhstan, the land of the Turk is Turkmenistan, the land of the Kyrgyz is Kyrgyzstan. That's how these names come. Okay, now let's learn a little about these countries. Okay, let's go with shall we start with Uzbekistan? Yes, Uzbekistan, please. Uzbekistan, the capital is Tashkent. You can see here it's in one corner of the country. So Uzbekistan, I'll write here for want of space. Tashkent is the capital. And this is, if you remember, this is the place where the former Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri ji passed away in January 1966. Okay, there is a movie, The Tashkent Files. That's, and he died in mysterious circumstances. The president is Shavkat Mirziyoyev. Okay, they are Muslim countries, so you find this, and the currency is Som. So in one line, the capital Tashkent, the president Shavkat Mirziyoyev. A V in the end of the word is pronounced with an F. Okay, Yo Mirzi, Yo F, Yo F, and the currency is Som. The currency is Som. That's a little about Uzbekistan. So, Gary, let's clear this and let's look at Kazakhstan. Kazakhstan, my friends, is the world's largest landlocked country. World's largest landlocked country. A landlocked territory is one which has no access to the sea. Now, in the case of Kazakhstan, on its north is Russia, and on its south you find a lot of other countries. And if you would look at that boundary, you may say that well, it does have access to the sea, but this Caspian Sea is an inland sea. Aral Sea is an inland sea. In fact, Aral Sea is dried up, more or less completely dried up. Now, from here, let's look at this. Kazakhstan's the world's largest landlocked country and overall the ninth largest country in the world. Its area is, if I'm not wrong, 27.5 lakh square kilometers. It's about 27.4, but let's take the round figure, 27.5 lakh square kilometers. So ninth overall largest, but largest landlocked country. And its capital is Nur Sultan. Now in the map, if you look at, you will find Ashgabat. Yes, this is, sorry, Astana. But this is the old name. Now the country, the capital is now called Nur Sultan. Why is it called Nur Sultan? It's named after the previous president, Nur Sultan Nazarbayev, who ruled this country with an iron fist, considered one of the most cruel dictators, an extremely corrupt man. Now the guy stepped aside, okay, he stepped aside from the role of the president, but he's still the chairman of the Supreme Council of Kazakhstan. So he is the godfather even today, okay, he's there. So Nur Sultan Nazarbayev is gone, but the capital has been renamed in his honor. And the president is sometimes when you think too much, words falter. Kasim Jomart Tokayev. This is the president, one guy. Okay, Kasim Jomart Tokayev, and the currency is tenge. It is tenge. That's the currency. Okay, you can remember this. K for Kazakhstan, K for Kasim. Okay. Yeah. So from Kazakhstan, we could discuss one more country, shall we? We in the past discussed Russia and Ukraine, but let's discuss Turkmenistan. This is Turkmenistan. This is a very, very, closed country. Turkmenistan, please. The land of the Turks. The capital, as you can see, is Ashgabat. Yeah, Ashgabat. In some maps, you will find that it's written as GHA, ASGHA. See this, here it is ASHGA, but some maps you may find it is written as ASGHA. This is the standard spelling, Ashgabat. Okay, and its president is a dictator named Gurbanguly Berdi Mukhomedov. In some places you may not find this K, don't worry too much, okay, and you may not find this W, you may find the V, which is the same actually. Gurbanguly Berdi Mukhomedov, that's what we say, the name of the president of Turkmenistan, dictator. Before him there was a guy called Sapar Murad Niyazov. That was a dictator. That guy was mad. He renamed the calendar of the country after the names of his family members. His mother, 1 month was named after his mother, another month was named after himself, and a few others were named after some heroes of Turk culture. But generally that's how it is. He's a madman. Okay, the currency of Turkmenistan is manat. It is Manath. It is Manath. That's it, guys. I think we'll not discuss the rest. Shall we discuss? Okay, we'll just bring in. I don't want you to be left with just okay. Ukraine. Ukraine's capital is Kiev. There is another spelling with this. The other spelling is this. Don't worry too much. Take that. Okay, either of whatever you like. Kiev is the capital, and Volodymyr Zelensky. Volodymyr Zelensky is the president, and the currency is hryvnia. This is a currency. Okay. Chalo. Tirath Singh Rawat has recently been sworn in as the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. And just a second before that, this exercise this year has been held in Uttarakhand. It was held in Uttarakhand in a place called Rani Khet. Uttarakhand, Rani Khet in Uttarakhand. That is where the exercise was held. Okay, this year, March. Rani Khet, Uttarakhand. And the 2020 exercise was held in Uzbekistan. It was held in Uzbekistan. But 2021 in Rani Khet, Uttarakhand. Okay. Tirath Singh Rawat is new Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. You can easily remember, TSR. The previous guy's name also is, TSR. Trivendra Singh Rawat is the previous guy. He succeeded Trivendra Singh Rawat. 1 year to go for the elections, and Trivendra Singh Rawat has been replaced by Tirath Singh Rawat. Okay, and Uttarakhand, as you know, is nicknamed Dev Bhumi because of the presence of a large number of Hindu pilgrimage sites. Okay, and this is XCL Devbhumi, and there are two capitals it has. One is Gairsen, which is the summer capital. The other one is Dehradun, which is the winter capital. Okay, easy to remember. I'll tell you. G. Gairsen, S. Summer, General Studies, GS. I know, I see, it's just one way of remembering. I don't remember it that way, but it's easy to remember that way. Okay. So once you remember this automatically sorts itself. Okay. Chief Ministers, Haryana, Manohar Lal Khattar. Okay. Jharkhand, is Hemant Soren. The rest, Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, Punjab, Amrinder Singh, Captain Amrinder Singh. ISRO has recently developed a radar named the Synthetic Aperture Radar for its joint observation satellite mission with NASA. So before ISRO, let's look at NASA. National, you could write this, National Space, National Aeronautics and Space Administration. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. That's NASA. National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Established 1959. That would be 10 years before ISRO was established. The 1958 is the right year, but 11 years before ISRO was started. 1958, and it's headquartered in Washington DC, District of Columbia, Washington DC. It has, in the case of NASA only, I'll give you this knowledge, this information that NASA has 3 major space centers, but we'll write 2. One is Cape Canaveral, um, is in Florida. Cape Canaveral, okay, Space Center, Launch Center. The second one is John F. Kennedy, JFK. John F. Kennedy Space Center. You know, its budget is huge. Last year its budget was $23 billion. That's 10 times ISRO's budget. Okay. It's the world's biggest space agency by any stretch of imagination. Even in fact, if you look at the budget, it's more than the budgets of the next 5 agencies combined. Okay. So that's NASA for you. National Aeronautics and Space Administration, established 1958 with 2 space centers, Cape Canaveral, Cape Canaveral and JFK. The third one is Vanderbilt, but that's okay. Headquartered in Washington DC with a budget of course $23 billion. And if you look at before the choices, before everything else, ISRO. ISRO started in 1969, okay. Head office Bengaluru. Head office Bengaluru. Chairman Kailas Vadivu Sivan. I may not get the pronunciation right, kindly forgive me, but that's how I'm reading it. Kailas Vadivu Shivan, Tamilian. And this gentleman is a highly qualified man of course. ISRO's Space Launch Centers, 2 major ones. One is Satish Dhawan Space Center. Satish Dhawan Space Center. And where is this? This is in Sri Harikota. And the second one is Vikram Sarabhai Space Center. Vikram Sarabhai Space Center in Thiruvananthapuram. Kerala, capital of Kerala. So from there, let's look at the choices. CNSA, my friends, is China National. Just a second, please. Yeah, China National Space Administration. China National Space Administration is a Chinese space agency. China National Space Administration, established 1993. Yeah, pretty recent actually. Head office Beijing. There's a budget of about 2.3, you could say. No, I think it's China, no? $11 billion off of NASA. $11 billion. That's a lot of money, no? Isn't it? $11 billion. JAXA is Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. Aerospace Exploration Agency. Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. Established, quite recent one actually, if I'm not wrong. It is only in this century, 2003. And its budget is, why I'm mentioning the budget is, it gives you an indication of money these all agencies have at their disposal. ISRO's budget is about $2.7 billion. It's not much, but you see this Chinese 50% of America, and this is only what they tell us. It could be much more than that because the Chinese have never been transparent. So JAXA, and then Israel Space Agency is not required. Leave it here. Yeah, we could write Roscosmos. You could write this. This is a very different kind of agencies. Yeah, the name is very different, right? Russian State Corporation, Russian State Corporation for Space Activities. Russian State Corporation for space activities, whose short form is Roscosmos. Next, established 1992. See, it's been there since early 1950s, but then at that time it was a part of the USSR. 91, so USSR collapsed. 92, this was renamed as Russian Space Agencies. Okay. Next, head office Moscow. It doesn't have much money, you know. It's a little over $2 billion budget. Okay, that's a little about it, guys. And you know what? ISRO is the world's first space agency to have found water on the moon. It was the first space agency to have found water on the moon. Second thing, the first space agency to have put an orbiter, to put a spacecraft in Mars's orbit. First, spacecraft to put an orbiter in the Mars orbit in its first attempt. That's important. Very first attempt we did that. There is a movie, Mission Mangalyaan, starring Vidya Balan, Akshay Kumar. They showcase as to how they did that. Which organization has raised the projection for India's economic growth rate, which is GDP growth rate, by 4.7 percentage points to 12.6% for 21-22. Now, the name, see, there are two things about this. One, the number is very large. This year's GDP growth rate is expected to be minus 7.5% as per the RBI. The government's number is minus 7.7. Okay, this is government, this is RBI. Okay, now please know that this means, okay, those of you don't know much about GDP, gross domestic product. This is pronounced gross domestic product. It's a sum total, it's a money value of all goods and services produced in one country in 1 year. Okay, so if you look at India's GDP for 2020, we'll take the calendar year, is likely to be $2.59 trillion. 1 trillion equals 1,000 billion. Okay, which is $2,590 billion. Okay? Now, this represents a minus 7.7% growth over the 2019 figure. That's it, nothing else. Okay, now in 2021 we are likely to, the GDP is, we'll take the calendar year, the GDP is likely to increase by about 12%, say. So by the end of 2021 the GDP is likely to be $2.59 trillion plus 12% of $2.59 trillion will be the total GDP. That's it, nothing else. Okay? So in 2020 the economy is going to contract, but of course things are very different. They're likely to be different because, see, the number is very large. When you say 13%, 12% something, the number is appears very large because the base is negative. The base is smaller, so that appears large basically. Okay. Now let's look at who did this. OECD. You could write this: Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Economic Cooperation and Development. Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. Next, established 1961. established 1961, head office Paris, 37 members, 37 members, and ladies and gentlemen, the name of the Secretary General is Jose. It's pronounced with an H. It's Spanish, pronounced with an H. Jose Angel Gurria. He is from Mexico. Mexico, as you know, is Spanish, Hispanic. That's OECD. Established, that is the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. It was established in 1961 with its head office in Paris. It has 37 member states, and the current chief is Jose Angel Gurria, who is from Mexico. Now let's look at World Bank. I think we discussed this in the past. Shall we look at only one organization now? World Bank and IMF are something that we have been discussing quite frequently. World Trade Organization. World Trade Organization established 1995. You could write this. World Trade Organization established 1995. Next. Established 1995. Head office Geneva, Switzerland. Geneva, Switzerland. Okay. Its chief new Director General is Ngozi Okonjo Iweala. In some places you may find with the A, what I wrote in the beginning, A, no problem. Ngozi Okonjo Iweala is a new Director General. She is from Nigeria. Okay. The previous, sometimes you could be asked that Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala has become the Director General of WTO, succeeding. So who is the previous guy? Okay, previous guy, Roberto Azevedo from Brazil. Roberto Azevedo, Brazil. Okay. Fair. Shall we look at anything else? Yeah, you could write couple of more things. 164 members. Latest member is Afghanistan. Which company has launched a new web platform named Women Will to support 1 million rural women in India to become entrepreneurs, business persons pursuing economic activity on their own, to become entrepreneurs through accelerator programs, mentorship and business tutorials. Google's doing this, my friends. Okay, I think we know about Google, but anyway, let me repeat. Owned by Alphabet. Google is a company that's owned by another company called Alphabet. And Google was founded by two persons, Sergey Brin and Larry Page. So Sergey Brin and Larry Page. Larry is Lawrence Page, co-founded Google. Okay. Now guys, this company is a parent company of Google. This company's and Google's CEO is the same guy. Both have the same CEO. His name is Sundar Rajan Pichai. Okay. Where is the head office of Google? In a place called, both have the same head office. Okay, the same place, Mountain View, California, USA. Mountain View, California, US, United States. Shall we clear this? Yeah. Then let's look at Cisco. Cisco, my friends, is a massive company. You look at the name, it comes from the name of the city called San Francisco. Last 5 letters. Okay. This company is the world's considered the world's largest maker of internet gear. Gear. Gear is, we generally say gear, it's gear. Gear, like routers, modems, teleconferencing facilities, and all that stuff. Okay, it's a huge producer of such things. It's a $52 billion company, my friends. Sales $52 billion, twice more than TCS, which is India's largest software services company. Okay, so Cisco is headquartered in a place called San Jose, California, United States. San Jose, California, United States. That's Cisco's head office. The CEO and the chairman is the same guy, Chuck Robbins. Chuck Robbins. Okay, that's Cisco. चलिए उसके बाद we could look at one more company. If no, Microsoft. Well, Microsoft was co-founded by two guys, Paul Allen and what's his name, Bill Gates. Bill is William Gates, or he's with his nickname Bill. Okay, Bill is a nickname for William. They started this company in 1975, and this company's current CEO is Satyanarayana Nadella. Satyanarayana Nadella. Okay. And the head office of Microsoft is in a place called Redmond, Washington State, which is on the west coast of America, on the border with Canada. Redmond, Washington, United States. I think we discussed Facebook and Amazon in the past. Let's go past this then. Thomas Bach, who was in news recently, has been re-elected president of the International Olympic Committee for a 4-year term. Re-elected. Okay, IOC. So you could write this: IOC, International Olympic Committee, established 1894. We'll take 2-3 organizations here. Established 1894. Head office. See now. Head office is in Switzerland. Yeah, Lausanne, in a place called Lausanne, which is in Switzerland. International Olympic Committee, head office in Lausanne, Switzerland, and that's the president, Thomas Bach. Thomas Bach. Germany, you could write Germany. So 3 things. 1, the year it was founded in 1994, where it's headquartered, Lausanne, Switzerland, and Thomas Bach belongs to Germany. 3 things, my friends. From there, we could look at the choices, maybe a couple of them, if not all, not 1, 2, maybe 4 and 5. FIFA, very important for us. FIFA was started in 1904. FIFA was started in 1904. That's a full form of FIFA. French full form. You see this. Okay. Otherwise, simple International Association of Football. International Federation of Football Association. That is the English one. International Federation of Football Associations is the English full form. It was established in 1904 in a place called Zurich, again in Switzerland. Zurich, Switzerland, and its head is a guy called Gianni Infantino. Gianni Infantino is the president, and you know what? This guy is he has dual citizenship, Switzerland and Italy. Switzerland and Italy. Dual citizenship of Switzerland and Italy. The last one is the International Cricket Council. The International Cricket Council, my friends, was started in 1909. Started in 1909, and its head office is in Dubai, which is in the UAE, the United Arab Emirates. And the current CEO is a guy called Manu. CEO which is discussing Manu Sawhney. Okay, India. Manu Sawhney, India. Okay. I think fairly good information we've written, my friends. Enough for us for now. Which became the first bank in India to launch its own range of wearable contact payment devices dubbed as Wear and Pay. So you see that Axis Bank has come out with stuff like this, where you can pay this wristband or the loop there to the attach to the watch, or a keychain. You see in the end there, this one keychain here. Now what it would help you do is, let's say this is a point of sale machine. Point of sale is that credit card machine. Yeah, okay, credit debit card machine, which you usually swipe the card. There is a machine like this. This is called a point of sale, typically point of sale, POS machine. Now POS terminal machine, you can bring your card on any of these devices and contactless, without touching it, you could make the payment. Okay, you could make the payment like this. Life has become very simple, my friends. Some of us use cards which don't require any kind of touch, in fact. So this is good, especially in these times when things are not very cool. So Axis Bank has come up with these things. So you just wear and pay kind of thing. Axis Bank CEO is Amitabh Chaudhary. Amitabh Chaudhary. ICICI Bank Sandeep Bakshi. Canara Bank CEO is Lingam Venkat Prabhakar. Lingam Venkat Prabhakar. That's a CEO. HDFC Bank Sashi Jagdishan. Sashidhar Jagdishan. Sashidhar Jagdishan. Next. India's largest floating solar power plant of 100 megawatt capacity belonging to the National Thermal Power Corporation will be commissioned in Ramagundam in May 2021. Ramagundam is in Telangana. This is one of India's hottest places. The temperature in summer, May especially, goes up to anywhere between 48 and 52. The place burns. It's pretty close to where I am, so I can tell you that. Okay, so Telangana chief. Before that, NTPC's chairman, you could write. NTPC chairman is Gurdeep Singh. Gurdeep Singh. Gurdeep Singh. Chief ministers here, Telangana, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. K. Chandrasekhar Rao, popularly called KCR. K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Kalvakuntla Chandrasekhar Rao. Odisha Naveen Patnaik. Andhra Pradesh Eduguri Sandinti Jagan Mohan Reddy, or YS Jagan Mohan Reddy. YS Jagan Mohan Reddy. Maharashtra Uddhav Thackeray. Jharkhand, we just mentioned a while ago, Hemant Soren. Which country has recently launched the world's first military exercise codenamed Asterix, Aster means star, in space? France has launched this. You could write why it is. France launched Asterix, a space military exercise, or military exercise in space, to protect or to test its capacity, to test its capacity to protect to protect its space assets like like satellites like satellites. See, there is a great degree of militarization of space now. If you look at the Chinese, they have, you know, space missile, satellite destruction, destroying missiles. So do the Americans, you know. But then, in light of all these things, you know, Japan, France has done something like this, that they've launched a military exercise to protect its satellites, to test its capacity. Now, this was launched in 2019. I mean, this particular endeavor, but the first military exercise has started only now. The idea is, if tomorrow an enemy country like China would target the satellite, will France be able to protect them? Because without satellites, communication is not possible. Yeah, satellites are at the core of all communication and data, you know, data movement. So this also, see, if you look at this name, it has two connotations. Aster is the name of its first space satellite. France's first space satellite in 1965. First space satellite, so it's named after that. And the second reason is that it's named after the great comic book hero called Asterix. If you read, you know, Asterix comic series, you will understand what I'm talking about. I spent my childhood reading a lot of comics, and even today I read a lot of comics. Tinkle, Chandamama, Gokulam, Champak. Reading comics helps you improve your English and helps you imagine things better. So, why comics? I normally recommend comics when people ask me, you know, I want to improve my conversational English skills. So I ask them to read comics because comics have stories have characters, and when characters meet, they have conversation. So they exchange their ideas. How do you discuss? How do you express yourself? Is this, you know, is something that you could learn from a comic book in a very simple bhasha, you know, simple language, basically, simple way also. Try to read Asterix. Try to read Asterix, my friends. My eyes are burning. Okay, that's a little about this. And would you want to know about anything else here? Yeah, Italy has a new prime minister. Italy's new prime minister is Mario Draghi. Mario Draghi is the new prime minister of Italy. Spain's prime minister is Pedro Sanchez. Okay. Who has become the first Indian woman cricketer to score 10,000 runs in international cricket across all formats? The great Mithali Raj. Yeah, the great Mithali Raj. I would want you to write this. Where are we going? Mithali Raj. Please write. You write her name and then write a couple of points. One, highest runs scorer or highest run getter in international cricket, across format. Next, only female cricketer. Next point, only female cricketer to score 7,000 runs in women's ODIs, one day internationals. Women's one day internationals. Women's one day internationals. Only female cricketer. Next, most half centuries in women's ODIs. That's something. She was born, I was reading about her. So before I come here, I always read a lot. Okay, so I was reading about her. She was born to Tamil parents in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. Her father's was in the Air Force, if I'm not wrong, and that's how Jodhpur happened. She's settled in Hyderabad, and she started playing cricket at the age of 10. And today she's a world beater. Yeah, she's won multiple awards, including women lead, leading women cricketers of the world, leading cricketer of the year 2017. She was the best cricketer in the world in 2017. That's some title. She's won Padma Shri, all these awards, Arjuna Award, Padma Shri, and all that. People work very hard, my friends. Which Indian research institution has recently received the prestigious Bhumi Bowl, King Bhumi Bowl World Soil Day Award from the FOA? So we have to look at who was King Bhumi Bowl, and we have to look at FOA, and we have to look at ICAR. So Bhumi Bowl is a previous king of Thailand. King Bhumi Bowl, don't write this, okay? Bhumi Bowl, that's there. Adulyadej Rama the Ninth. That is the name. King Bhumi Bol Adulyadej Rama the Ninth. Rama the Ninth was the official name. He was the previous king of Thailand, and he ruled between 1946 until about 2018. So if I'm not wrong, 17 or 18. Think about it, man. He was there for such a long time. Yeah, even before our country became independent, he became the king of Thailand. So these guys belong to the Chakri dynasty. See, the current king is a guy called, his son called Mahavajira Longkorn. In some places, you may find Maha to be separate from Vajira Longkorn. Don't worry. Okay. Think about it. Vajira Longkorn is now called Rama the 10th. Rama the 10th. That's the official title. And these guys, the ruling dynasty of Thailand belongs to the Chakri family, Chakri dynasty. They believe they are the descendants of the Raghuvamsa dynasty of Ayodhya. That's why this title, Rama the 9th, Rama the 10th, and all that. So the dynasty's name is Chakri. The current king's name is Maha Vajira Longkorn. The previous king's name is Bhumi Bol Adulyadej Rama the 9th. And Thailand, and I think you don't require the Prime Minister's name. Anyway, since I mentioned Thailand, Thailand's Prime Minister is Pradyut Chan-o-cha. Chan-o-cha. Pradyut Chan-o-cha. That's a Prime Minister. The currency is Baht. Currency is Baht. चलो आगे चलते हैं. Let's look at FAO. Food and Agriculture Organization. Food and Agriculture Organization. Headquartered Rome. And the Director General is Ku Dongyu. Ku Dongyu of China. Ku Dongyu of China. Ku Dongyu of China. Chalo. ICAR. You could write the Director General's name. One is Head Office, New Delhi. Only in the case of this organization, I'll give you the name of the Director General. Dr. Trilochan Mohapatra. Dr. Trilochan Mohapatra, ICAR. Let's look at where are the rest located. I mean, where's the office? Institute of Minerals and Materials Technology, located in Bhubaneswar. Bhubaneswar, the capital of Odisha, named after Bhagwan Shiv. National Geophysical Research Institute, Hyderabad. It's in Hyderabad. TIFR, Mumbai. This is in Mumbai. Sorry guys. Yeah. National Physical Laboratory, it's in what is it called? New Delhi. NPL is in New Delhi. Okay. Chalo. From here, I think no. Next one. Who has been reappointed chairperson of the panel of external auditors of the United Nations for 2021? Girish Chandra Murmu. He is the Comptroller and Auditor General of India. Comptroller and Auditor General of India. CAG. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the highest audit officer of India. CAG is the highest audit officer of India. Under Article 148, this person is appointed, person I said, so gender neutral. This person is appointed to the position under Article 148 of the Constitution of India. And you know what? As a CAG, the CAG can audit the books of the Government of India, all ministries, all government departments, all public sector enterprises, and even private companies if necessary. Okay. So you have one, and you have, I think 4 is ex-CAG, not required. I think you don't require. But yes, Girish Chandra Murmu, while he is the current CAG, he is the ex-Lieutenant General of J&K Union Territory. J&K Union Territory. Next. Who has recently been named the ICC, International Cricket Council Men's Player for February 2021? Ravichandra Ashwin, because he took 24 wickets in 3 tests. That's something, 24 wickets in 3 tests. He also scored 176 runs. Including I think he scored that century also against Britain, against England. So he took 24 wickets in 3 tests and scored 176 runs, including a century against England. The same, this, if we look at the women's Tammy Beaumont. Tammy Beaumont of England. She is a batsperson and batswoman, and that's why she scored, just for reference, you don't need to know this, she scored 231 runs against New Zealand. So to repeat, Ravichandra Ashwin got this award, was named the ICC Men's Player of the Month Feb 2021 for having taken 24 wickets in 3 tests and also scoring 176 runs, including a century. Coming to the women's players, Tammy Beaumont of England, she scored 231 runs against New Zealand. 1 and 3 are English players, 2 is a Pakistani. The Union government has recently approved the Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Nidhi as a single non-lapsable reserve fund for the share of health care from the proceeds of health and education cess levied under the Finance Act 2007. The accruals into the PMSSN, that is Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Nidhi cess, will be utilized for all of them. Under the Ayushman Bharat, a family gets a cover of 5 lakh rupees, insurance, medical health cover. I think we know these things. So. India recently lauded the efforts of the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe for countering terrorism. In this context, which the following statements about the OSCE is all true. OSCE, which is the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, is the world's largest security oriented. These are points you can write on your own. Okay, world's largest security oriented intergovernmental organization. Next, head office. See, all of them are right. So I'll just give you stuff which is not here. Head office, Vienna. which, as you know, is the capital of Austria, Vienna, Austria. Then Vienna, Austria. And then its chairperson is Anne Lind. Anne Lind. She's from Sweden. She's from Sweden. Since Sweden is mentioned here, Sweden is chairing is the chairperson of this event. Okay, this organization for 2021. Sweden. The capital, as you know, is Stockholm. It's a constitutional monarchy. There is a Raja here, Carl Gustaf. This, not required. You write the Prime Minister's name, Stefan Löfven. Stefan Löfven. And the currency is Sweden now. Krona. Currency is krona. Okay. In a major boost to India's rice exports potential, the first consignment of red rice, Bao Dhan, was recently flagged off to the US. The rice variety is native to Assam. It's Assam. No chemical is used. What the farmers here do is that they wait, after the floods, after the high water of the Brahmaputra river is it recedes. The deeply fertile alluvial soil that is brought by the Brahmaputra is used to cultivate this particular crop. So no chemical fertilizer is used to grow this crop, to grow this rice. So you could write this: deep water paddy. Deep water paddy, okay, produces deep water paddy produces iron rich red rice dash no chemical fertilizer is used. No chemical fertilizer is used. So most of us, because of the increased focus on healthcare, are going back to organic stuff. Yeah, what our forefathers did, we are now doing. We in the middle had gone, most of us still focus on junk and all that, but a lot of people have become very conscious of what's the right thing to eat. So that, this also leads to a lot of things. Eating junk and thing leads damage. It causes damage to the body. It causes it leads to a lot of money spent on things that are not healthy. And if the body gets damaged, it leads to health issues, and that would require a lot of expense. So there are a lot of things here. Money is involved in a big way. Assam's chief minister is Sarbanand Sonowal. Sarbanand Sonowal. The rest I guess. Yeah. Rajasthan's chief minister, as you know, is what's his name? Ashok Gehlot. India's largest state by area. 3.42 lakh square kilometers. Okay. V-Hub, India's first and only state-led incubator, recently partnered with the Australian government for a joint program named Upsurge to back women entrepreneurs. V-Hub is an initiative of the Telangana government. Yes, Telangana government. This is B.S. Yediyurappa. That is B.S. Yediyurappa. Y.S. Jaganmohan Reddy. Pinarayi Vijayan. Telangana, K. Chandrasekhar Rao. Tamil Nadu, E. Palani Swami. But still last one I will put anyway. P. Palani Swami. Now coming to Australia here, Australia's capital is Canberra, nicknamed Bush City. Bush means jungle. Bush City. See, Australia's two biggest cities are Sydney and Melbourne. They were fighting among themselves to become the capital. So, despite multiple rounds of negotiations as to and trying to calm down tempers between the people of these two cities, things didn't work out. So, the government of Australia built a new capital equidistant from Sydney and Melbourne. This was built in the jungle, Canberra. It was a small village. They turned into an administrative center. So Canberra, and then Prime Minister Scott Morrison. Currency Australian dollar. World's sixth largest by area. Sixth by area. 76 lakh square kilometers. 76 lakh square kilometers. Chaliye. Which bank has topped the list of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology's digital payment scorecard for 3 consecutive months? State Bank of India. Who's the minister here? It is Ravi Shankar Prasad. Who is also the minister for he heads 2 more ministries. One is communications, and then law and justice. So 3 ministries. The MP from what is this place? Bihar heads 3 ministries. The METI, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, that's 1. 2 is law and justice. 3 is communications. Okay. Coming to HDFC Bank, we know who's the CEO. You know Axis Bank CEO. You know Dinesh Khara is the chairman of SBI. Sandeep Bakshi here, and this is Uday Kotak. On which of the following is the cash reserve ratio, that is the amount of percentage of money that is deposited with the RBI based deposits of banks? A simple definition, you could write this CRR. You could write this: all commercial banks must keep a certain percentage of their total time and demand deposits, in brackets, liabilities, total deposits, time and demand deposits, that is liabilities, with the RBI. Full stop. Let me repeat. All commercial banks must keep a certain percentage of their total time and demand liabilities or deposits with the RBI. Okay. Full stop. Next point. The current CRR is 3%. The current CRR is 3%. Okay. This is current. Next. Current is 3%. And next. It will be raised. Next point. It will be raised to 3.5% on 27th March. 3.5% on 27th March, and to 4% on 22nd May. and 22nd May. 22nd May. So it's likely to be increased. What will happen if it's increased? Today, all banks have to keep 3% of their savings, current, fixed deposit, whatever money they have collected from the public, they have to keep 3% of that with the RBI. Now, if it's increased to 3.5%, it would mean that banks will have to keep more money with the RBI. More money with the RBI would mean less money with the banks. So the money supply in the market will decrease. As the money supply decreases, interest rates increase. As interest rates increase, things become expensive. Your loans become expensive. Your deposits may earn a little more, but loans typically become expensive, and that could also mean that this could discourage economic activity. But the RBI's goal here is to control inflation. It's to control inflation, because if interest rates are low as they are today, it would mean that people borrow more. As people borrow more, the demand for goods and services also increases, but supply doesn't match the demand in the short term. So what happens when the demand is more and the demand is high and the supply is less? Prices increase. When prices increase, you call it inflation, and when prices increase, everyone gets impacted, especially people at the bottom get impacted much more. Their money value gets eroded. The purchasing value of money decreases, and so your money buys less when prices increase, when inflation happens. So the RBI is looking at inflation, controlling inflation. But the RBI has also opened a lot of money doors where commercial banks can borrow, from the RBI through other means, if not through CRR. So the banks will still have liquidity. That's the idea. Which is the first bank to launch India's first mobile app-based facility for opening current accounts? Now, current accounts are business accounts. Individuals like us cannot open current accounts. They can be opened only in the name of businesses. So, IndusInd Bank has done this. IndusInd Bank is owned by the Hinduja Group. It's owned by the Hinduja Group. Ashok Leyland, Gulf Oil. There are 4 brothers, Hinduja brothers: Prakash, Gopichand, Srichand, and Prakash, Gopichand, Srichand, and Srikant. Yeah. So these guys own this company. 4 brothers own this Hinduja Group. Teetotalers, vegetarians, extremely rich, the richest Indian family in Britain. So very rich, richer than the Queen of Britain. So this bank is owned by the Hinduja Group, and the current CEO is Sumant Katpalia. Okay. Who is the CEO of IDFC First Bank? V. Vaidyanathan. He is the CEO of IDFC First Bank. Bandhan Bank, Chandrasekhar Ghosh. An order given in writing to a bank not to pay a check issued but not yet presented for payment is known as stop payment order. That's simple now. Stop payment order. There's hardly anything to discuss. If I issue a check to someone, okay, but then I realize that there's some problem or something that I may not have funds, or for whatever reason, I can tell the bank that as and when it is presented, okay, you shall not encash it. You should not make the payment. So this is what I call stop payment. What is an outdated check? Well, a check that's more than 3 months old. So if I have I got a check on 1st January 2021. When will it's valid till 31st March for 3 months, 2021. Beyond this date, it would become an outdated check, or what is called a stale check. Got it? So a check has a validity of 3 months from the date of issue. Or when I say date of issue, I'm talking the date that is mentioned on the check. The date that is mentioned on the check. Yes. It's valid for 3 months from the date mentioned on the check. The Reserve Bank of India has permitted the processing of an electronic mandate on credit and debit cards for recurring transactions. The maximum limit for the transaction is 5,000 rupees. So up to 5,000 rupees, you can, you can simply, one time mandate is required, of course, and you don't have to, what we say, you don't have to be intimidated. No pin is required for any transaction up to 5,000 rupees. This will, earlier it was 2,000 rupees, now it's 5,000 rupees. This is good because there are a lot of recurring expenses. You have electricity bill, you have fuel charges, all these could be taken care of. But 5,000 is a good amount basically. This is likely to increase, but it will take some time. Okay. Dash is the risk of default on a debt. Debt is udhar, borrowing. Dash is the risk of default on a debt that may arise from a borrower failing to make the required payment. Credit risk. There is always a risk. See, you lend to me. If I don't, when the very fact that you lend to me carries with it a risk called credit risk. And if I don't make the payment, the credit risk becomes real. Okay? It's a very normal thing. So, to compensate for the risk, interest is charged. Interest is charged. The higher the likelihood of a default, the higher is the rate of interest. But then if someone wants to default, what will they pay interest? Yeah. Participatory notes are like contract notes issued by the foreign institutional investors. You could write foreign institutional investors. FII is foreign institutional investor to firms investing in the Indian stock market, without registering with SEBI. You know this full form now, Securities and Exchange Board of India, without registering with SEBI. So let's say foreign firm comes in, it doesn't want to go through the process of registration because it's a very cumbersome process. At least in India, it's very, very cumbersome. There's a lot of it, takes a lot of time, and investment, chances, the window of investment, making money goes away if someone things get delayed. Okay. So these participatory notes enable foreign institutional investors to invest in the stock market without registering with SEBI. That's the idea. They can make money, and a lot of money comes in through this. Huge money. To a large extent, if there is a rally today in the stock markets, it's because of the money that is coming in through FII. FII cash, it's called. Next. Doha is a capital of, we'll just restrict ourselves to capitals and all that. Doha is the capital of Qatar. This is Qatar. Okay. Oman's capital is Muscat. Okay. This is Muscat here. ईरान यहाँ पे है, तेहरान कहाँ पर गया, ईरान, तेहरान, यहाँ तेहरान, Kuwait city, the capital is called Kuwait city. Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. This is here, Riyadh. Okay. Doha will host the 2022 FIFA Men's World Cup. FIFA Men's World Cup. Okay, just to give you some idea, this is Qatar. Okay, इसके पास में बहरीन. It's a very tiny country, छोटा, very very. Bahrain's capital is Manama. Okay, Bahrain, Manama. Which company has become the world's largest corporate purchaser of renewable energy? Amazon. Amazon has purchased 6.5 gigawatts of power to power its warehouses. So all renewable energy, okay? Solar, wind, all that stuff. So warehouses, offices, yeah, and of course it's data centers. It's the world's largest provider of cloud services, my friends. Amazon Web Services is the world's biggest provider of cloud services. And Amazon, as you know, is the world's largest e-tailer. Its sales last year were 275, 280 billion dollars. Is it small money? No, not at all. It's a huge company, my friends. Okay, so huge, very large company. Amazon's new CEO is, what's the name of the new CEO? Um, Andy Jassy. Andy Jassy is the new CEO. Andy Jassy. Its head office, as you know, is in Seattle, which is in Washington State in the US. Washington State, US. See, it consumes 6.5. It's budgeted for 6.5 gigawatts of power. You know what is the total installed capacity? The total installed capacity of India's renewable energy sector is 90 gigawatts. Total installed capacity of renewable energy of India is 90 gigawatts. Amazon is going to purchase about 1/12 of it, 1/11th, 1/12th of it. I mean, it's huge, man. Not from India, from around the world, but look at, I mean, it's huge, very big. Google, just to give you an idea, earlier Google was a world leader in purchasing this much, 5.5 gigawatts of renewable energy, but Amazon has overtaken. It's growing, so they need. Apple head office. Apple is the world's largest technology company by revenue. Last year its revenue was $275 billion. Okay, the CEO is Tim Cook. The head office is in a place called Cupertino in the American state of California. Okay, then we have, what is that? JP Morgan. Oh, JP Morgan is the biggest bank in the US. JP Morgan, you could write, biggest bank in the US. Head office New York City, and CEO is named Jamie Dimon. He is ranked the finest CEO in the banking world. Jamie Dimon. Okay, these are large companies, very large companies. Walmart is the biggest company in the world. World's biggest company is Walmart. World's biggest company by revenue. Last year its revenues were $559 billion. Ladies and gentlemen, that would be 20% of India's GDP. 20% of India's GDP is sales revenue of Walmart. World's biggest company by revenue. It's also the world's biggest private sector employer. World's biggest private sector employer. What? About 22 lakh employees it has. That's very large number, isn't it? Chalo. Its CEO, if you want to know, I can give you the name of the CEO and the head office. Just before that, let me clear this. It's quite cluttered here. Walmart's head office is in a place called Bentonville in the American state of Arkansas. The last S is silent, you could write Arkansas. And its CEO is a guy called Douglas McMillon. Okay, so that's about it, I guess. In the third week of March, which European nation announced an increase in its nuclear arsenal from 180 to 260 warheads. Britain did this. This is a graphic I got from the Stockholm Institute of Peace and Research. Okay, SIPRI it's called. Okay. Stockholm International Peace and Research Institute, SIPRI. Look at how many bombs does the US have deployed. They have deployed. Serious. Only 4 countries have deployed. Okay, and the highest number of warheads are with the Russians, I think. Yeah, Russians. 1, 2. France is said to have the 3rd highest, and China 4. Pakistan has more nuclear warheads than India. Yes, Pakistan has more than India. So this 160, Pakistan has 160. 150, 160. We don't know. See, the government of India has never been clear on this number basically. So the Pakistan could be, maybe they are also underplaying, or maybe on the other side they could be boasting. They could be saying that we have more nuclear warheads than the Indians, or it could be the other way around actually. So UK has said that we are going to increase the number of warheads. That's how it is. So the biggest number of nuclear warheads is with Russia. Remember this, with Russia, followed by the United States, and then France. Okay. Anything else that you would want to know? Not much, except that Portugal's capital is Lisbon, and its president is a guy called Marcelo. He has been re-elected recently. Marcelo Rebelo de Sousa. Currency is euro. Currency is euro. So, that's about it, guys. We discussed 30 questions. Very good number, actually. Thanks for being here. Stay curious. Have a lot of fun. Thank you.